Hi, Janet. Great to speak to you.
Hi,
Yes.
Fiona. I'm delighted to be here
Oh, thank you
and
so
join your
much.
podcast.
I know, I'm really looking forward to speaking to you because
Me
we've been in
too.
touch for a while, haven't we? And
We have been.
I think we met through financial narrative
We
networking, didn't we?
did. Yeah,
Was it
that's a
on one of the...
call out for Financial Narrative. They
Oh,
really
it's
do some
such a
great
great group.
networking events. Yeah, we met
Yeah,
through the monthly, they do a monthly event where they talk about headlines that are
that's right.
happening in
Yeah,
communications and how to best handle them and best practices. And that was how we met.
that's true. Yeah. I love their speed networking events as well. I find those so
hmm
fun. I haven't done one for a while, but I'm going to check back in.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like they haven't hosted one in a while. That would be nice, one of
Yeah,
those.
no, it
Yeah.
really would. Yeah. So, Janet, you've had such a good career. I've been looking at your history and your career today, and I just really want you to tell me kind of where you started and why you started in marketing. We've just been talking about marketing as an all-in career. It's not just a job. It's a full-on career and it's a
Right.
vocation. So, talk to me about that and how you started and where you started and what that journey looks like.
Well, that's a great question. And I really happened on marketing. I kind of tripped over it, truly. It wasn't my original intention. So here in New York, I went to NYU and I studied art history. I have a real passion for the arts. And I always knew that I wanted to do something in the arts. But then I realized, well, that's, what are the options for me? So I
Mm,
looked, could I if I wanted to work in a museum, I'd need a PhD. So I thought, well, I know I can go to journalism school and I can write art reviews. So I did that and then started covering other beats besides art reviews, personal finance and media marketing and advertising, targeting the US Hispanic market. I was asked to cover that beat for VNU Business Media, which was a big um, pub- ad week, a sister publication of Ad Week. Anyway, that said, because of my work covering the US Hispanic market, somebody asked me if I wanted to join the commodities exchange. They wanted to do
okay.
extra outreach to their markets in Latin America and in APAC, and they thought that my experience kind of covering those markets would be a good fit. So it was really a big decision to leave journalism and
Yeah.
move into communications and
Mm.
in-house, but I'll tell you, I've never looked back. I've really enjoyed the career path. Ever since then, I've been mostly focused on financial services, but the last 10 years has really been fintech.
Yeah, yeah. And so, have there been any sort of pivotal moments in that journey that really stand out to you as kind of, I mean, obviously that move was a defining moment for you, but have there been any other roles or employers or moments where it's changed the course of your career?
Well, I would say that that was really a big moment when I joined the
Mm,
commodities exchange
mm,
because I was really introduced to the world of finance then. And I
mm,
got to see the important role that it played. And I thought, this is something that I really want to do and I want
mm,
to stay in this space for a long time. And then from there, I transitioned into fintech. And that's also really been very interesting because it's really about automating the front, middle, and back office
mm.
trading and processing. And that's always been an interesting space. So I think that for me, understanding first finance and then transitioning into fintech and how that
Mm.
helps people to do their jobs better and how that helps the markets to function has really been very interesting.
Yeah, and I bet you're a real asset to the fintech space, actually. Having that financial services background must be really valuable because, I've been in fintech and I don't have the financial services background. And as we know, it's nuanced, it's niche, it has its own language, it's very complicated.
It really does have its own language, but it's also very exciting because
Mm,
I do feel like the financial markets, they really make the world go round. But what
yeah.
about you in fintech? What's been some of the critical moments for you?
I mean, we've been in a very niche area at Dassetti. It's due diligence, it's investor relations, responding to RFPs. So it is very much about the data exchange for the purposes of due diligence. So it's a limited kind of very niche sector. But prior to that, I've worked in and around the hedge fund sector. So I've been working for cloud providers who provide cloud storage and Microsoft Office services to hedge funds, to private equity firms. I've worked with HR consultants to that sector. So I've been in and around that alternative investment sector for quite a lot of years now. And you're absolutely right. I think it does. There's so much money changing hands. It's so powerful. It's so ripe for technological advances that fintech is just, I mean, it's exploding, isn't it? There's fintechs for absolutely every part of every process.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, my niche is that investment sector, but beyond that, there's the banking, the payments, the insurance.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just huge, isn't it? But yeah, I agree. I think it's a great sector to be in.
It's a huge sector. For me, I really focus on those enterprise risk management solutions. Any
Mm,
organizations that have any exposure to risk across the trading life cycle, we
mm,
really marketing to those organizations. And it's primarily I've been focused on those tier one, the top energy and
mm.
commodities companies and the top financial services institutions.
We're at the opposite ends. I'm definitely down at the kind of niche, more startup mentality type business end, and you're up at the top end. So it's nice that we can meet, isn't it?
Absolutely, definitely. I think that there's a
Yeah.
lot of best practices that can be shared. That's the nice thing about
Mm,
marketing is that I think whether it's B2C or B2B, or whether you're marketing to those large tier one organizations or to the
mm.
smaller hedge funds, there's a lot of best practices and a lot of learnings that can be exchanged.
Yeah, it's true. I've been interviewing quite a lot of people recently for the podcast, and I've spoken to some B2C marketers, and actually, I just find that fascinating that the gap between B2C and B2B is closing up so rapidly. There's so many things that B2C marketers do that B2B could absolutely benefit from and are benefiting from. So I think that, B2B used to be just serving the sales team. Well, it's not that anymore. It's
Correct.
more about demand gen, isn't it?
It's about demand gen, but
Mm,
also the thing about B2C that really is so critical now for B2B is storytelling and being
yeah,
able to highlight and showcase how it is that solutions impact the customer's life for the better. And that
yeah.
was really one of the things that I enjoyed when I transitioned from journalism into in-house corporate communications and marketing was
Mm,
the ability to really leverage my storytelling skills and my writing skills
mm,
in order to help brands better differentiate themselves.
yeah, yeah. I'm going to jump around a bit here because I want to dig into that a bit more. But, you know, obviously, when you're storytelling, you have to do the customer research in order to tell the stories that resonate. Can you just talk me through that? Is that would that be your first port of call, customer research? Would that be your first priority, if you like, if you were coming into a new role fresh? Would that be in your first 30 days?
I would say that when I land a new role or when I start a new project, really going with that go to market, that GTM POV.
Mm,
And that's really mission critical. And as part of that, getting to know the customer very deeply. And that
mm,
entails meeting with account managers, sales, and any customers that are available to me in order to
mm,
understand what their preferences are, where they get their information, what their pain points are. Uh, so many
mm,
different things that are part of that go to market in order to develop a very deep understanding of what it is
mm,
that would make them make a move to acquire, to buy a solution, or to trigger an
mm,
action. And I think once you have that understanding, then you can develop that messaging that will
mm,
really resonate. And once you have that messaging, you just have to hit it and you have to keep hitting it hard. In fact,
mm.
I recently wrote a piece for LinkedIn post about some practices that I saw in mass communications from recent politics,
Okay.
and what was successful and wasn't here in the United States during the
Mm,
presidential election. And, what I noticed is that, one of the candidates did a great job really getting that message and hitting it hard and
mm,
consistently over and over. Because sometimes we think we can't go to market with that message again. They've heard it already,
mm,
but actually not. You have to be very consistent in order to build that
Yeah.
trust with people and in order to build the brand.
Yeah. How would you, I mean, again, I'm digressing, but I'm really interested in this beating the drum for a certain message. How would you approach it if a client or an employer had multiple channels of products, say, with different ICPs? How best would you approach that? Would you treat each one as its individual content theme and you'd beat that drum over and over? How do you stop that being diluted for your overall brand?
Well, that's really key, I think, is to not dilute the brand and to really do understand the customer.
Mm,
And what I like to do is differentiate. I think in this day and age, you really have to personalize those messaging,
mm,
those messages and those communications and those campaigns.
mm,
But that said, I do think there's an opportunity to come up with some umbrella themes for a brand
mm,
that go across the various customers. But even once you have those like umbrella themes,
yeah,
you do have to dig down and personalize because at the end of the day, that's the only way that you're going to
absolutely.
be able to gain any traction.
It's not going to resonate if you're trying to serve everybody with the same message.
No, not at all. In fact, I've
Mm,
seen that in action. We were working on a global event that had was taking place across the world, four different places,
mm,
and we were trying to come up with messaging. And at first, we tried to come up with an email campaign that we could just send to everyone and
yeah.
see if we could drive registration that way.
Mm,
But then we quickly realized that that was not getting us the numbers that we needed, so we had to start differentiating that messaging. And it takes a lot of work,
yeah.
but we really did start to see the traction once we did that.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. It's worth the effort though, isn't it? We've tried that as well, trying to do the same message for absolutely every audience, and it just doesn't work.
No,
It,
it doesn't work. I mean, we were able to achieve sold out events across the globe for 3 years, year over year, but it was
mm,
really because we were able to differentiate. Okay, for the commodities customers, we're going to go to
mm,
market and say this. And even within the commodities customers that we had, some were using one product more than another. We focused in on that
differentiate it
as well.
again.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, sort of almost like almost hyper personalization, on based on usage and behavior.
Yes, and I think
Mm,
that that's really key, not only in the customer acquisition phase, but also in the customer retention phase.
mm. Yeah, I mean, the marketing doesn't stop, does it? The involvement doesn't stop once somebody signs the contract. It's still
No, I think in
involved.
fact it's even more important once they sign the contract
Mm,
because it's more important to keep and retain a customer. It's the CAC costs are lower. Going to
yeah.
acquire a customer can be very expensive.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and I think that is something that maybe a lot of B2B companies do kind of they focus on the close of the new business, the acquisition and not the retention, which is quite short-sighted, I think.
Well, you're leaving money on the table
Mm,
because
mm,
not only is it more costly to go out to get the new customers, but it's
mm,
also, you know, when a customer leaves, it could
mm.
have a reputational impact.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, sure. So let's go back to your kind of playbook for a SaaS company in the financial services space, a fintech, and we touched on what the first 30 days might look like, but let's expand on that and talk about 30, 60, 90 day. What does your playbook look like?
Well, my playbook looks like in the first 30 days, I definitely want to learn as much as I can about the company
Yeah.
and go in and really go on a listening tour and meet with
Mm,
various stakeholders across the organization. Marketing touches so many different stakeholders, so it's
yeah.
really important to develop allies and really even champions across the organization.
Yeah.
So the listening tours are really key, but also as much as I could possibly start meeting with customers and getting that kind of intel or
Mm,
sitting in with account managers and their calls in order to glean what
yeah.
it is that's working and what it is that isn't working. So that's
Mm,
really the focus of the first 30 days. And then 60 days looking at the various systems that are in place and looking to see what's resonating, what's working, what's not working, and looking
Yeah.
to see where there could be some improvements. And so that by 90 days, we hopefully can be starting to put together some campaigns and other work to start driving the customer acquisition that's so mission critical for marketing.
Yeah, I think that's important. And how do you balance? I know this is something that comes up time and again. How do you balance the your process with the need for some quick wins for the management layer? How would you balance that? Is there anything, would you look for ways to achieve quick wins in those 30 and 60 days whilst you're evaluating?
Absolutely. And that's something that I have done because you're right. I mean, 90 days, we still have to keep the engine moving. So I look to jump in really and look to see what campaigns are happening and where it is that I can lend a hand and help
Mm,
them to get them faster out the door, as well as lend my expertise to them.
yeah, yeah. Now you've done some,
One area
yeah,
that
go.
I feel is can never be overlooked enough is Google search,
Yeah,
those channels. That's one area where I
yeah.
like to quickly, by 60 days, start to look to see what are the keywords that we're
Mm, mm,
targeting and what traction are we seeing with that and what kind of
mm.
changes can we start to and tweaks. And of course, the more I start to learn about the business at that point,
Yeah, I mean you
you can,
can't start early enough, can you? With
no.
Google search, it's such a long process to get words ranking that if
Mhm.
you start day one, that's a good thing. If you start 90 days in, it's you've lost 3 months there of
Right.
potential keyword tracking.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, do you do that yourself? Is that something that you're a marketing generalist like me. Do you dig into that yourself, or do you have specialists on hand, or
I dig in myself, and I also
yeah,
work with specialists that really kind of get it into the system. And together we monitor performance and make optimizations.
yeah, amazing. I
Hmm.
think you've got to have that understanding of all
Relationship
the
and
different,
understanding. Yes.
because otherwise, how do you know if what they're doing is the right thing? You've got to understand it.
Oh, absolutely. I think that when it comes to marketing, everyone has to roll their sleeves up, really. I get asked that
Yeah.
question a lot, and I'm definitely a roll up your sleeves type
Yeah, get
because
stuck in.
yes, that's the only way to really get work done. Otherwise,
Mm,
because everyone doesn't have the same level of knowledge. So you
no.
have to be able to exchange that knowledge.
Yeah, agreed. So you've done some amazing projects. I know that you led a £1 million website project recently. Can you talk to me about, what key things you think um, add to the success of large projects like that? So how do you keep it on time, on brand, on budget?
Well, I think that really being aware of what the timelines are and communicating with
Mm,
stakeholders regularly and really leveraging project management skills.
yeah.
At one of my last jobs, I implemented Asana in order to drive greater alignment between the design team, the digital team, the
Mm,
content team, and the marketing team overall. And together, using that solution, we were able to
mm,
reduce our time to market of campaigns by
mm.
over 20-25%.
Right. I
So
mean,
I would say communicating on a regular
mm,
basis and leveraging project management tools.
yeah. Have you got any other projects like that you could share? Any insights on how you kept it on track? Any other big high profile projects?
Well, I mean, definitely. So when we were acquired by another in a company that I worked at, we were acquired. One of the things that I had to do was come up with a communications program in order to ensure that to retain our customers.
Mm,
And not exactly what you just asked about, but that
yeah,
was a really exciting project because the company that acquired us didn't have a great reputation in the marketplace, and a lot of our customers started grumbling. So it was
right,
up to me to work with C-suite to ensure a smooth transition. And
right.
that was a very exciting project as well.
Yeah. Try and nip that in the bud before the customers grumble too
Yes,
much, if you
yes.
like.
To manage
Yeah,
reputation, to ensure that the customers being looked after. And really, what I did was create a new customer experience across events, across digital assets, so that
Mm,
there were a lot of different components and channels to the customer experience.
yeah. And what do you think is your kind of sweet spot in marketing? I mean, we've talked about being a generalist, but is there something that you really love? Is it the communication side and the storytelling? Is that what lights you up?
I would say growth marketing, because I definitely like to hit the numbers.
Yeah.
And also just always trying new things. I remember one of the most exciting jobs that I had, I was first brought on to launch a thought leadership program. And within a month or so, I was told, so now you're going to manage all of our digital marketing and growth marketing. And I, at the time, really didn't have any experience doing that. And there were two people on the team, but working together, we were able to achieve some quick wins very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And I was able to go back to management and get some investment in the team, some MarTech investment that we needed in
Oh,
order
that's
to keep
amazing.
moving forward. So
Amazing.
I like to start things up, whether it
Mm,
is like a growth marketing team, or a thought leadership team, or, launching a new business line.
amazing. So you thrive on change, really.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I'm the same. And
Oh,
so sort of on,
yes.
yeah.
I mean, there was one point where at one company, within the course of about 3 to 4 years, I was working for seven different CMOs. And you just have to keep your head down and keep working,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Gosh, yeah.
also,
So
keep keep up with the changes.
yeah, I know. I think, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think personal development and professional development is it's a given. You have to do it. You have to be curious. You have to always be learning, bettering yourself. And I wouldn't ever wait for a business to offer to put me through a course. I would just go out and get it myself.
Well, that's really key too, especially for
Mm,
marketing nowadays and everything that's happening with AI. I don't think we have a choice but to stay on top
yeah,
of all of the new developments that are happening
yeah.
and
How are
upskill
you?
consistently.
How are you getting on with have you embraced AI?
Oh, I certainly have, and I've embraced it for over a couple of years now. In fact, at
Mm,
a recent meeting, somebody told me that I was an AI super user. So I was delighted to
nice.
learn that. Yeah, I really think that it's got a tremendous amount of benefits when it comes to marketing. It can really
Yeah,
help reduce time to market. It's not an end all be all. I
yeah,
think it's garbage in, garbage out. You have to do a lot of legwork before you start using the
yeah.
tool in order to get something that's usable. But if you're willing to do that, and you need a certain amount of knowledge in order to do that, but if you're willing to do that,
Mm,
I think that it can certainly help to reduce time to market of campaigns by 20%. It
yeah.
can certainly help bring content to life faster.
Yeah, and at scale, you can actually scale your efforts a lot more easily with AI
Yes.
tools. Have you
Hmm.
got any tools that you would, preferred tools of choice? I mean, I've got a few. For example, I use Perplexity to do my research when I'm writing or creating content. That's my first port of call because it gives you all the reference points, and then I switch into ChatGPT for the outline and the kind of padding out. But there's so many different choices. I know some people who love Claude, they swear by Claude, or some businesses can only use Microsoft. So I'm just wondering if you've got any tools of choice that you'd recommend.
Well, Perplexity is certainly awesome for research.
Mm,
I also have a paid subscription to ChatGPT, and I
yeah.
also created my own AI agent, my fintech
Oh,
AI
amazing.
agent within ChatGPT. I also like Gemini. I like Gemini quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you used Notebook? Google
Not
Notebook.
as
That's
much,
quite
although
good.
someone was telling me about that.
That is quite good. Yeah. So it's kind of like a project management research management tool, I guess. You can bring all your different parts of research into one area and then query those set of documents either one by one or all together. And that's the tool where you'll hear the artificial intelligence podcast. So it's the man and woman speaking to each other in a podcast chatty
Oh,
style.
yes, I heard about that. Yes,
It's
I
quite
certainly.
fun, but it also is a really useful tool for just digesting information. So if you've got a load of complex documents, you can upload them in there and have the hosts chat about the content, and it gives it in a really accessible, sort of digestible format. It's good. I would check it out, and it's completely free, so it's
I've
worth
heard,
having a look at.
yeah, no, I know people that use it to create podcasts, in fact.
Oh, really? What? So
Oh,
they'll
yes.
download and use that? Yeah.
hmm
Okay.
hmm
I mean, I've
I
used it as a
actually,
guide. Mm.
as a guide, yeah, I actually spoke with someone who's got a commodities data company, and I was looking at his marketing, his website, and he's got videos and podcasts,
Mm.
all AI agents, all of them,
Wow.
all of it. Yep, all of it.
Amazing.
Yeah, he even
I
asked me
know.
to listen to one of the podcasts to see what I thought about the audio, if the voice was something
Yeah.
that,
And
and I
it,
made some
yeah.
recommendations. I thought, I don't, I think it could be better
Mm.
if this person has, this type of accent or, you know,
Yeah.
it's really something how you can make recommendations and just change the voice.
Yeah. I know. This is it, isn't it? It's just so easy to do. It's so easy to make those changes where, I think this is what I like about AI. I think it's made video editing, audio creation, so making your own music, making your own films, making your own adverts, all of that creative process that we would have had to have a sound engineer or a video company
And
or
big briefs.
huge brief, huge budget, long time scales. We can now do it ourselves with a few 30, $40 subscriptions. It's just so accessible.
I think that's right. I do think that it does still take quite a while to get it right because we don't want to necessarily go out to the market with anything that's
Substandard.
pure AI. That's what I think
Mm,
that for brands, it's a tricky balance because you
agreed.
really need to build trust. And I feel, there's also the multi-generational. With some generations, maybe they would be okay with an AI, you know, pure video, but for
Mm,
some, maybe not so much. So it really depends
yeah,
on knowing who your target audience is, going back to that,
yeah.
GTM and really understanding your user, your ICP.
Yes. Yeah, and I think for B2C marketers, it might be a lot more accessible. For B2B, maybe there is still that kind of layer of corporate that you need to adhere to. But yeah, agreed, agreed. I mean, talking about AI, obviously that's the future. Where do you see marketing going outside of AI or including AI? What do you think the next big thing looks like?
Hmm, that's a good question. I really have a hard time kind of seeing what is the next phase because I definitely think AI will start to play a bigger role,
Mm,
especially with some of the smaller companies and the founder-led companies.
yeah,
I don't think they're going to want to invest as much in marketing, at least not in the beginning.
yeah.
Maybe as they start to develop a bigger brand, they will do.
Mm,
So what I think is that it behooves marketers to really learn how to use AI tools and
yeah,
make it their significant best friend, their SO, in other words, so that they can
yeah,
stay competitive and add value to an
yeah.
organization.
At a cost that is appropriate for a small business. Yeah,
That's what
I
I mean
think
about
that's the
adding
key.
value, is that it's
Yeah,
really about containing those costs.
that's the key. Yeah,
Because
doing it,
everyone's always trying to reduce their customer acquisition
of
costs.
course.
That's always really, really key.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with you. I think AI is only really just beginning. It's still in its kind of early stages, and I think, this year I'm seeing a lot of talk about AI agents, which obviously you've dabbled with that and created your own. And I
Yes,
think, this the AI agents, you sort of think of customer services, but
exactly.
they can be so beneficial for a marketing team as well. I think that's a really big area to watch.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the AI agents also can be like your assistant. It's
Yeah.
basically
It
someone that
doesn't have to
helps
be
you.
customer facing.
Right, right.
Mm. Yeah, and automation as well. I think the automation piece, linking platforms together, that's going to be key for me particularly, and I think that could be beneficial for a lot of business owners. It's just ensuring that they've got processes mapped out, and then those processes, where possible, you've automated between, because that, you know, taking data out of an email, putting it into a spreadsheet, those days I think are gone. I think and I think rightly so. Like, that is not a good use of a skilled person's time. It's not even a good use of an intern's time. They could be doing a lot more with that time, and if you can automate as many processes as possible and digitize as many processes as possible, I think that's where the real gains are going to come from an operational perspective.
Well, yes, I mean, data entry is something that is a real time suck,
Yeah.
but it's also mission critical if you want to have good data so that you can analyze it and see how you're performing.
But do you think it will be able to, AI can handle that? I think it's good enough to be able to handle that now.
Hmm. Do I think it's good enough to handle it? I mean, I think that it probably can do a good amount of it, but I certainly think
Mm,
a certain amount of human intervention is going to be needed.
that critical eye and oversight.
Absolutely.
Mm,
That oversight.
mm,
Yeah, because the data really is the golden source.
mm. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Talking of data, do you have any tips on kind of measuring the efficacy, the success of marketing programs? Because I'm really interested in attribution and measurement.
How do you measure attribution and measurement at the setting?
So we look at inbound leads. Really, that's it. That's how we measure the efficacy of the marketing team, is by the number of inbound leads that we get and the quality of inbound leads and how they translate into pipeline.
Hmm.
It's all revenue, really. It's very simple.
Yeah. No, I mean, typically that's how I've worked as well.
Mm,
I mean, at the end of the day, you want leads that progress as quickly as they can through the pipeline. And I
mm,
say as quickly as they can because some of the solutions, when you're talking to a B2B or
mm,
big enterprise solution, it's typically a longer sales cycle.
oh yeah.
So I think, you want to get that good data, but you
Mm,
also really want to develop channels where
mm,
you can really capture that intent data. And that is really those people that are in the market looking for a solution, not some
mm,
people that are just curious about it and it's pie in the sky and might be
mm,
something that they work on in a couple of years, but they don't have
yeah.
budget for it this year. You really want to tackle. So focusing on that intent data
Yeah.
is really key.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's that, if somebody's come into the platform and requested a demo, I mean that's a good sign of intent. They're not looking at a demo just to satisfy the curiosity. So that's what I count, um, is demo and proof of concept requests, and then I track
Typically,
how, yeah,
yeah,
track how
typically they're
they get
not
into
looking.
pipeline.
Yeah, typically they're interested, but you never know.
You never know. Yeah, I mean, if it was a perfect world, I'd probably put more out there so that people could self-serve a lot of this stuff. I think maybe the first demo could actually be a self-service guided walkthrough rather than guided by a salesperson. Because I think there's a lot of selling
That's a good
process.
idea. That's a
Mm,
great idea.
I've looked at a few platforms actually that can do contained walkthrough demos. So there's a semblance of choice and free will, but actually it's all very much contained within a platform and it's guided, which I think they're really great. I think that's a good idea because a lot of buying process. I think 70% of the buying process in B2B is done before any contact with a sales team.
Yes,
So if you
that
can
is what they
influence
say.
that part actually before they've even come to you, you've probably got a much better chance of closing that deal.
Yeah,
So, and of course, if it's self-service, it's less sales resource needed. Sales
yeah.
can then focus on closing.
It's tricky in fintech, isn't it? I think that some
Mm,
parts of fintech space lend themselves better to that. And I
mm,
think that others, when it comes to trading and risk management and any solutions
mm,
across the front, middle, and back, a little less so. But
mm,
certainly, if there's an opportunity to do that, it could
mm.
absolutely help.
Yeah. Especially as younger people come up through the buying ranks as well. I feel it might be a slight generational thing where younger people want more self-service, want less personal
Oh,
contact and more
absolutely.
self-serve. It's
Yeah.
just the way of the world, I think.
Well, that's
So as
why, yeah, there's so many different generations right now in the workplace. And that's why it's really key for that ideal
mm,
customer profile.
yeah, and put them into the broad bucket of a millennial or yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think it's useful. And how far do you go with that, really?
Yeah.
You could go on, couldn't you? I think most of us have only just scratched the sort of firmographics kind of, uh, maybe some basic demographics. But yeah, I think the targeting is, and the segmentation is so important.
Oh, gosh, yes, very much so.
Yeah. And I think if
Yeah.
AI can help with that, then that's a great thing for business to business marketers as well.
How do you use data in your job?
Hmm. We're not as data savvy as we would like to be honest. We use firmographics, demographics, past buying behavior. So we look at reasons for buying, reasons for not buying, win loss analysis, um, direct customer interviews just to talk about where they buy, where do they find information about new
Yes.
solutions.
Yes.
And you do find out some really interesting things when you do those one-to-one interviews, because I found out from one client that they, as part of the buying process, whilst they were in the buying cycle, they saw an announcement about an award win, and they cut and pasted the logo and put it into their deck to the uh, buying
Yeah. Yeah.
decider. And that was one of the things that helped nudge it through, which we would never have known that. We like to share stories of award wins because, subliminally it adds credibility and it's
Yes.
a great thing to talk about. But
Right.
do you ever directly attribute a deal to a piece of PR? Very rarely. Sometimes you'll get oh, I found you because of an article. Nobody would ever say, I was already in the buying cycle, and then I saw this piece about you winning an award, and that kind of tipped us over the edge. You just don't find that stuff out. So I think
It's really
data's one
hard to
thing.
get that information sometimes. But the truth is that all of the different channels together, the
Yeah,
omni-channel impact, have an impact
yeah,
because, and that's is why you really do need to do, especially in the B2B space,
yeah,
you really do need to do that brand building, the
yeah,
PR, the awards, the
yeah,
sales enablement, the Google, the paid advertising, the
yeah.
thought leadership, because you just never know what's
You
going to
do.
resonate.
Yeah, no, you do. You need all bases covered, which,
Hmm.
as we said, it's an all-consuming role, isn't it? The role of the of the B2B marketer.
It really
It's a
is.
lot. It's a
Yeah.
big job, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, blood, sweat, and tears, I think.
Definitely. Definitely.
So, Janet, I would like to ask you if you were talking to a new marketer, or someone thinking about going into marketing, what piece of advice would you give them to help them on their way?
To just stay very open to change because it's really always changing. The world of marketing and the landscape of it. I mean, I think about when I joined marketing and all of the changes that I've
Mm,
seen, and yet some of the things stay consistent. So, but being open to all of it and being open
yeah,
to trying new things, A/B testing, leveraging new tactics, because you just never really know what's going to resonate and what could
yeah,
work.
yeah,
And also keep your ear to the ground to what the customer has to say, because that's really the mission critical. You can't lose that, is what the customer says, thinks, and feels. If you have the awareness about that, then you
yeah.
stand the chance to win. But if you lose that, it's gone.
Yeah, become little bit insular sometimes. It's easy
Yes.
to listen to what's going on in the four walls and not look outside of that to what is actually happening to the customers. Yeah.
Or what you wish they would say. Because sometimes we think, oh, we think they're saying this. No, actually keep you really want to fully understand what it is that's happening in the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can tailor your messaging and your positioning towards
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I think that's great advice.
Yes.
Thanks, Janet. Is there anything else you want to cover today? You want to talk about?
No, I think that's it, but thank you for that.
That's been fantastic. So I'd like to check in again with you in a year if that's all right, and we can have another recap and see what's happened in 2025.
I'd love that. That would be great. I'm really excited to see what's happening in the AI space. And,
Yeah,
now here we are just talking about, agentic AI. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out
something
this
new.
year and what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's evolving so rapidly, isn't it? It's almost hard to keep a track on what the new tools are doing and what is going on because it's not just new tools doing the same thing but better or different. It's completely new categories. It's almost like every day there's a new category that you're kind of, oh, I need to find out about that. And I think these educators are so important, all the LinkedIn AI marketing educators. That's my route into new tech at the moment. I'm just following avidly, reading as much as I can, watching as many videos as I can. I just think it's fantastic. I'm just now starting to put it all into practice properly.
Terrific.
Yeah,
Terrific.
no, it's
Yeah.
good.
Can't
It's
wait to hear more
exciting.
about MarketMy.ai.
Thanks, Janet. Thank you. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah.